Captain Ilara Chen stood on the bridge of the ESS Horizon, Earth's first faster-than-light capable ship, as it dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a bustling alien spaceport teeming with ships of various designs and sizes. "We've made it," Ilara breathed, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Humanity's first step into the galactic community was about to begin. Dr. Amit Patel, the ship's chief xenobiologist, peered at the readings flooding his console. "Captain, I'm detecting a wide variety of atmospheric compositions from those ships. Nothing Earth-like so far." Ilara nodded, unsurprised. Their long-range scans had already hinted at the diversity of life in the galaxy. "Initiate first contact protocols. Let's introduce ourselves to the neighbors." As the horizon approached the spaceport, a sharp trill from the communications array cut through the tension on the bridge. Lieutenant Sarah O'Connor, comms specialist, furrowed her brow as she deciphered the incoming signal. "Captain, we're being hailed." It's in English." Ilara raised an eyebrow. "Put it through." A gravelly voice, tinged with an otherworldly accent, filled the bridge. "Unidentified vessel. This is Proxima Centauri Spaceport Control. State your species and intent." Ilara took a deep breath. "This is Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth Ship Horizon. We are humans from the Sol system, seeking peaceful first contact and admission to the galactic community." A long pause followed, punctuated only by the soft beeps of the ship's systems. When the voice returned, it carried a note of confusion. "Humans? Sol system. We have no record of your species. Prepare for standard quarantine and inspection procedures." "Understood. Spaceport Control. We're ready to comply with all necessary." Ilara's words were cut short as alarms blared across the bridge. Red warning lights bathed the crew in an ominous glow. "What's happening?" she demanded, spinning to face her science officer. Lieutenant Commander Jackson's fingers flew across his console. "They're scanning us, Captain. Deep scan. Atmospheric, biological. Wait. There." Suddenly, the ship lurched violently. A shimmering energy field enveloped the horizon, and Ilara felt a sickening sensation as artificial gravity fluctuated. The alien voice returned, now sharp with panic. "Emergency containment initiated. Class X biohazard detected." "Biohazard?" Ilara exclaimed. "There must be some mistake. We carry no dangerous." "Your ship's internal atmosphere registers as over 20% free oxygen." The voice interrupted. "Such levels are extremely corrosive and potentially explosive. All personnel, initiate highest-level quarantine protocols immediately." The bridge erupted into chaos. Ilara struggled to maintain order as her crew fired questions and status reports simultaneously. "Oxygen, but that's what we breathe," Dr. Patel shouted over the din. "To them, we're walking bombs." Jackson realized, his face pale. Outside the view screen, Ilara watched as other ships scattered, putting as much distance between themselves and the horizon as possible. Sleek, insectoid vessels that she assumed were some kind of security force took up positions around them, weapons visibly charged. "Captain," O'Connor called out, her voice tight. "I'm receiving transmissions from all over the spaceport. They're terrified of us." Ilara sank into her captain's chair, the weight of the situation crushing down on her. Humanity's grand entrance onto the galactic stage had turned into a nightmare. Instead of being welcomed as new neighbors, they were being treated as a deadly threat. "Options?" she asked, looking around at her senior staff. Dr. Patel spoke up first. "We need to explain our biology, make them understand that oxygen isn't a weapon. It's essential to our survival, and risk them seeing us as even more of a threat." Jackson countered. "If they think we need a corrosive gas to live, might decide we're too dangerous to even exist." Lieutenant O'Connor raised her hand tentatively. "Captain, I've been monitoring their communications. It seems this spaceport is part of something called the Galactic Concord. There are mentions of protocols for encountering new species. Maybe we can appeal to their diplomatic channels. Ilara nodded slowly, a plan forming. Good thinking, Lieutenant. Open a channel to whoever seems to be in charge. Let's see if we can talk our way out of this mess. As O'Connor worked to establish communication, Ilara turned to her first officer, Commander Elena Rodriguez. Elena, I need you to work with Dr. Patel. Prepare a comprehensive briefing on human biology, emphasizing our non-aggressive nature and the role of oxygen in our ecosystem. We need to show them we're not a threat. Rodriguez nodded grimly. I'll do my best, Captain, but it's going to be an uphill battle. We're essentially trying to convince them that we're safe while admitting we're filled with something they consider incredibly dangerous. I know, Ilara sighed, but it's our only shot. We can't let humanity's first impression be that of a hostile, toxic species. The next few hours were a whirlwind of tense negotiations, scientific explanations, and barely contained panic. The Horizon remained trapped in its quarantine field, surrounded by wary alien ships. Inside, Ilara and her crew worked tirelessly to bridge the vast gap in biological understanding between themselves and the galactic Concord. As the standard day cycle on the horizon drew to a close, Ilara found herself back in her ready room, staring out at the stars. The fate of humanity's place in the galaxy now hung in the balance, all because of the very air they breathed. She couldn't help but laugh at the cosmic irony. They had crossed light years to meet new life, only to find that life viewed their very existence as a threat. A chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Enter," she called out. Dr. Patel stepped in, looking exhausted but with a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "Captain, I think we've made a breakthrough. The Concord's xenobiologists are fascinated by our oxygen utilization. They've agreed to a limited cultural exchange, under strict quarantine conditions." Ilara allowed herself a small smile. It wasn't the warm welcome they had hoped for, but it was a start. "Well done, Doctor. Let's hope this is the first step towards understanding. We've got a long road ahead of us." As she turned back to the window, Ilara watched a shuttle from the spaceport cautiously approach the horizon. The first face-to-face meeting between humans and the Galactic Concord was about to begin, and the future of humanity's place among the stars hung in the balance. The Oxygen Revolution. 6 months after the tumultuous first contact, Dr. Amit Patel found himself in a state-of-the-art laboratory aboard the Proxima Centauri research station. The initial panic over humanity's oxygen-rich biology had subsided, replaced by a cautious scientific curiosity. Still, Amit couldn't shake the feeling of being both a researcher and a research subject. "Dr. Patel, your presence is requested in Observation Chamber 3, chirped his alien-designed communicator. The voice belonged to Zixel, a Thraxian scientist who had become something of a colleague over the past months. Amit made his way through the sterile corridors, passing through a series of airlocks designed to contain any stray oxygen molecules. As he entered the chamber, he saw Zixel's insectoid form hunched over a complex array of instruments. "Ah, Amit." Zixel's mandibles clicked in what Amit had learned was a gesture of excitement. "You must see this. The results from our latest oxygen exposure trials are unprecedented." Amit peered at the holographic display. His eyes widened as he processed the data. "This can't be right. The cellular regeneration rate is off the charts." Zixel's compound eyes glittered. "It is not an error. Controlled oxygen exposure is acting as a powerful catalyst in Thraxian tissue repair. The implications for our medical field are staggering." As the two scientists pored over the results, Amit's mind raced. This discovery could change everything, not just for the Thraxians, but for the entire Galactic Concord's perception of humans and their toxic atmosphere. Over the next few weeks, news of the breakthrough spread like wildfire through the scientific community. Researchers from various species clamored for access to Earth's atmosphere samples. What was once feared as a deadly pollutant was now being hailed as a potential miracle cure for a host of alien ailments. Back on the ESF Horizon, now permanently docked at Proxima Centauri, as an impromptu Earth embassy, Captain Ilara Chen received a priority communication from Admiral Korda, the highest-ranking human official in the sector. Captain, the Concord High Council has requested an emergency session regarding Dr. Patel's discovery. Korda's holographic form announced. They're considering lifting the quarantine restrictions on human ships. Ilara felt a surge of hope. That's fantastic news, Admiral. But why do I sense there's a but coming? Korda's expression turned grave. Because with opportunity comes risk, Captain. Some factions within the Concord are pushing for immediate, unrestricted access to Earth's atmosphere. Others are advocating for strict control, fearing the potential weaponization of oxygen. Weaponization, Ilara exclaimed. But it's just air. To us, yes, Korda replied. But to many species out there, it's a powerful, potentially dangerous substance. We need to trade carefully. That's why I'm appointing you as Earth's representative at the Council session. You've been on the front lines of this first contact situation from the beginning. You understand the delicate balance we're dealing with. Ilara nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. I understand, Admiral. When do we leave for the Council? Immediately. A Concord diplomatic vessel will be arriving within the hour to escort you. Good luck, Captain. The future of humanity's place in the galaxy may well depend on the outcome of this meeting. As Ilara prepared for her journey, Dr. Patel was facing a dilemma of his own. Zixel had approached him with a radical proposal. Amit, my friend, the Thraxian scientist began, his voice low. What we have discovered, it is too important to be bottled up in bureaucracy and politics. Think of the lives we could save, the advancements we could make. Emmett frowned. What are you suggesting, Zixel? We release our findings, all of them, to everyone. Let the scientific community see the true potential of oxygen-based technologies. That would violate about a dozen protocols, Emmett protested, not to mention potentially destabilize the entire diplomatic process. Zixel's antennae twitched in frustration. Protocols that were put in place out of fear and ignorance. We know better now. The galaxy deserves to know the truth. As Amit wrestled with his colleague's proposal, light years away on Earth, Dr. Yuki Tanaka was making a discovery of her own. In her lab at the Tokyo Institute of Xenobiology, she had been studying the effects of various alien atmospheres on Earth's ecosystems. This is incredible, she muttered, reviewing her latest test results. Certain combinations of alien atmospheric compounds, when introduced to Earth's oxygen-rich environment, were producing chemical reactions that could revolutionize everything from energy production to waste management. Dr. Tanaka immediately began composing a message to Captain Chen. This information could be crucial for the upcoming council meeting. As she typed, a notification popped up on her screen, an incoming priority transmission from Proxima Centauri. Her eyes widened as she read the message. It was from Dr. Patel, marked urgent and confidential. He was warning her about a potential leak of their oxygen research, expressing concerns about the galactic repercussions. As these events unfolded across light years, the galactic Concord was about to face a paradigm shift. The substance they had dismissed as a dangerous pollutant was poised to become the most valuable resource in the known universe. Captain Chen stood on the observation deck of the Concord diplomatic vessel, watching the swirling colors of hyperspace streak by. In a matter of hours, she would be standing before the High Council, holding the fate of human-alien relations in her hands. Captain, her XO, Commander Rodriguez, approached with a datapad. We've just received updates from both Dr. Patel and Dr. Tanaka. You're going to want to see this. Ilara took the pad, her expression growing more concerned as she read. The potential leak of their research, the new discoveries on Earth, it was almost too much to process. She had entered this mission believing she was fighting for humanity's acceptance. Now she realized she might be fighting to prevent humanity from becoming the most powerful and feared species in the galaxy. As the ship dropped out of hyperspace, the glittering jewel of Harmony Station, seat of the Galactic Concord, filled the view screen. Ilara took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "Well, Elena," she said to her XO, "it looks like we're about to turn galactic politics on its head. Again." Commander Rodriguez managed a wry smile. "Just another day at the office, right, Captain?" As they prepared to disembark, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was holding its breath, waiting to see what these oxygen-breathing newcomers would do next. The oxygen revolution was about to begin, and nothing in the cosmos would ever be the same. Galactic Gold Rush. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Concord High Council buzzed with an energy Captain Ilara Chen had never experienced before. Representatives from 100 different species filled the tiered seats, their eyes, or various sensory organs, fixed on the central podium where she stood. The gravity of the moment wasn't lost on her. Humanity's future in the galactic community hung in the balance. "Members of the High Council," Ilara began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I come before you today not just as a representative of Earth, but as a harbinger of change. The discovery of oxygen's potential has opened doors we never knew existed." As she spoke, holographic displays flickered to life around the chamber, showcasing the groundbreaking research from both Dr. Patel and Dr. Tanaka. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the alien delegates. "We propose a controlled, collaborative effort to explore the full potential of oxygen-based technologies," Ilara continued. "With proper safeguards and equitable distribution, this could usher in an era of unprecedented growth and healing for all our peoples." The council chamber erupted into a cacophony of debate. Some delegates clamored for immediate access to Earth's atmosphere, while others voiced concerns about safety and the balance of power. In the midst of the chaos, a tall, ethereal being rose. Salith, the Arcturian representative and de facto leader of the council. "Order." Xalith's melodious voice cut through the din. "Captain Chen, your proposal is intriguing. But surely you understand the concerns. Unrestricted access to such a powerful substance could destabilize the entire Concord." Ilara nodded. "We understand, Counselor. That's why we're proposing a phased approach, with strict regulations and a governing body composed of representatives from all member species." As the debate raged on, light years away, events were unfolding that would soon throw the careful diplomacy into chaos. On Earth, Dr. Yuki Tanaka stared at her computer screen in horror. Despite their best efforts at secrecy, snippets of their oxygen research had leaked onto the galactic net. Within hours, the information had gone viral, spreading to every corner of known space. "This is bad," she muttered, hastily composing a message to Captain Chen. "This is very, very bad." Meanwhile, at the Proxima Centauri research station, Dr. Amit Patel was facing a crisis of his own. A group of rogue scientists, led by his colleague Zixel, had barricaded themselves in one of the high-security labs. "Zixel, please," Amit pleaded through the intercom. "Think about what you're doing. We can't rush this." The Thraxian's voice crackled back, tinged with a fervor Amit had never heard before. "It's too late, my friend. The galaxy deserves to know. We're transmitting everything. All our research, all our findings. Let them see the truth." Amit's blood ran cold. He knew that once this information was out, there would be no going back. The carefully orchestrated plans for controlled introduction of oxygen technology would be shattered. Back in the council chamber, Ilara was in the midst of answering a barrage of questions when her communication device buzzed urgently. As she read the messages from Earth and Proxima Centauri, she felt the floor drop out from under her. "Captain Chen." Xalith's voice cut through her shock. "You seem distressed. Is there something you wish to share with the council?" Ilara took a deep breath, knowing her next words would change everything. "Counselors, I've just received word that our research, all of it, has been leaked to the public." The chamber exploded into chaos. Accusations flew, threats were made, and in the span of minutes, years of careful diplomacy began to crumble. In the days that followed, the galaxy descended into a frenzy. Ships from every corner of known space began making their way to the Sol system, all hoping to stake their claim in the new oxygen-based gold rush. Earth's orbital space became crowded with vessels of all shapes and sizes, each demanding access to the planet's atmosphere. On the surface, governments scrambled to establish control. Massive atmospheric processing plants sprung up almost overnight, funded by a dizzying array of alien consortiums and corporations. The promise of endless wealth and technological advancement proved too tempting for many to resist. Captain Chen found herself thrust into the role of de facto ambassador, trying desperately to maintain some semblance of order. From her new office in the hastily constructed Terran Diplomatic Center in Geneva, she juggled demands from alien delegations, human governments, and increasingly worried environmental groups. "We need to establish quotas," she insisted during a tense video conference with world leaders. "Our atmosphere isn't an infinite resource. We're already seeing climatic shifts from the increased harvesting." But her words fell on deaf ears. The allure of galactic prominence and untold riches had taken hold, clouding judgment and fostering a dangerous sense of invincibility. Dr. Tanaka's lab in Tokyo had become a hub of frenzied activity. Alien scientists worked alongside human researchers, pushing the boundaries of what was possible with oxygen-based tech. Miraculous breakthroughs in medicine, energy production, and even faster-than-light travel were announced almost daily. "We're making a decade's worth of advancements every week," Yuki marveled, even as she worried about the long-term consequences. In space, the situation was growing equally tense. The first oxygen freighters, massive ships designed to safely transport Earth's atmosphere across interstellar distances, began their maiden voyages. They were accompanied by heavy military escorts, as reports of piracy and attempted hijackings flooded in. Admiral Korda, overseeing Earth's rapidly expanding space defense force, couldn't shake a sense of foreboding. "We're sitting on a powder keg," he confided to Ilara during a rare quiet moment. "All it would take is one spark." That spark came sooner than anyone anticipated. In a distant sector, a dispute over an oxygen shipment escalated into open conflict. Two alien armadas clashed, their weapons enhanced by the very oxygen-based technologies they were fighting over. As reports of the battle reached Earth, Ilara felt a weight settle in her stomach. Humanity had hoped to usher in an era of unprecedented peace and prosperity. Instead, they had become the unwitting instigators of what threatened to become a galactic war. Standing at the window of her office, watching ships streak across the sky, Ilara couldn't help but think of the old Earth saying, "Be careful what you wish for." Humanity had wished for acceptance among the stars. Now they had the galaxy's undivided attention, for better or for worse. As the sun set on another chaotic day, Ilara steeled herself for the challenges ahead. The oxygen gold rush was spiraling out of control, and it would take all of humanity's wisdom, diplomacy, and ingenuity to prevent it from tearing the galaxy apart. The Oxygen Wars. The holographic display in the United Earth Defense Command Center pulsed an angry red as reports of yet another skirmish flooded in. Admiral Korda, his face etched with lines of exhaustion, turned to Captain Ilara Chen. "That's the third firefight this week in the Orion Arm alone," he said grimly. "The oxygen wars are spreading faster than we can contain them." Ilara nodded, her own fatigue evident. It had been 18 months since the galaxy-wide leak of Earth's oxygen research, and the situation had spiraled far beyond their worst nightmares. What had started as isolated conflicts over oxygen shipments had escalated into full-scale proxy wars between various alien factions. "Any word from the Galactic Concord?" Ilara asked, though she already knew the answer. Korda shook his head. "They're paralyzed. Half the member species are involved in the conflicts in one way or another. Earth is caught in the middle, with everyone demanding we take sides." As if to punctuate his words, a priority message flashed across the main screen. The Thraxian Hive Queen herself was demanding an audience, threatening to cut off all oxygen trade unless Earth supported their claim in a territorial dispute. Ilara sighed. I'll handle it. In the meantime, we need to step up our efforts to find a diplomatic solution. This can't go on." As she left to deal with the latest crisis, Ilara couldn't help but reflect on how quickly things had unraveled. The promise of oxygen-based technologies had been too tempting, too revolutionary. Species that had coexisted peacefully for millennia were now at each other's throats, all vying for control of the oxygen trade. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Dr. Amit Patel found himself in a very different kind of war. He stood in the ruins of what had once been a state-of-the-art research facility on Proxima Centauri, now reduced to rubble by orbital bombardment. They hit the atmospheric processing plants first, a shell-shocked assistant reported. Then the storage facilities. It's all gone. Amit clenched his fists, anger and guilt warring within him. This was the third facility he'd seen destroyed in as many months. Each attack was a stark reminder of the consequences of their discovery. "Salvage what you can," he ordered. "We're evacuating to the backup site on TRAPPIST-1." As his team scrambled to save what research they could, Amit couldn't shake the feeling that they were fighting a losing battle. For every breakthrough they made in stabilizing oxygen-based technologies, someone found a way to weaponize it. Back on Earth, Dr. Yuki Tanaka was facing a crisis of a different nature. The massive increase in atmospheric harvesting was having catastrophic effects on Earth's climate. Storms of unprecedented fury lashed the coasts, while inland areas suffered from crippling droughts. "We have to stop," she pleaded during an emergency session of the World Science Council. "Our planet can't take much more of this." But her warnings fell on deaf ears. Too many powerful interests, both human and alien, were invested in maintaining the oxygen trade at all costs. As the conflicts escalated, a new threat emerged. Fringe groups, composed of various species, began carrying out terrorist attacks on oxygen processing facilities and transport ships. They called themselves the Breath of Balance and claimed to be fighting against the oxygen tyranny that was tearing the galaxy apart. One such attack hit perilously close to home. A massive explosion rocked the Geneva spaceport, destroying 3 oxygen freighters and damaging the Terran diplomatic center. Ilara, who had been in the building at the time, found herself pulled from the rubble by emergency responders. As she was treated for her injuries, a grim-faced Admiral Korda approached her bedside. "Captain, I'm afraid I have bad news. The Arcturian Dominion has just declared war on the Thraxian Hive Collective. They're demanding Earth's allegiance, threatening to cut off our colonies if we don't comply." Ilara closed her eyes, feeling the weight of billions of lives on her shoulders. Earth was being drawn inexorably into a conflict that threatened to engulf the entire galaxy. In the following weeks, the situation deteriorated rapidly. The oxygen wars, as they came to be known, spread like wildfire across known space. Advanced oxygen-based weapons caused devastation on an unprecedented scale. Entire planets were rendered uninhabitable, their atmospheres burned away in cataclysmic chain reactions. Earth found itself besieged on all sides. Some alien factions sought to protect their primary oxygen source, while others viewed the planet as a threat that needed to be neutralized. The fledgling Earth Defense Force fought desperately to maintain a buffer zone around the solar system, but it was a losing battle against vastly superior numbers and technology. In a secret bunker deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, Earth's leaders gathered for what might be their final council. The holographic displays showed a galaxy in flames, with nearly every major power engaged in the escalating conflict. "We never should have shared our research," one official lamented. "We've doomed not just ourselves, but the entire galaxy." Ilara, her arm still in a sling from the Geneva attack, stood up. "No," she said firmly, "we can't think that way. Yes, we made mistakes, but we also showed the galaxy something revolutionary. Now it's up to us to find a way to use that discovery for peace, not war." Admiral Korda nodded in agreement. "Captain Chen is right. We started this, inadvertently or not. It's our responsibility to end it." As the council debated their options, Dr. Patel and Dr. Tanaka were ushered in. They looked haggard, having been evacuated from their respective research sites just hours earlier. "We may have a solution," Yuki began, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. "But it's risky, very risky." Emmett stepped forward, activating a holographic display of his own. "We've discovered a way to neutralize the more volatile effects of oxygen in alien physiologies. In essence, we can make oxygen inert for species that haven't evolved to process it." The implications were staggering. If they could render oxygen harmless to other species, it would eliminate much of its value as a weapon or controlled substance. "The catch," Yuki continued, "is that we'd need to release this neutralizing agent on a galactic scale. Every oxygen transport, every processing facility, every stockpile, they'd all need to be treated simultaneously." "And if we miss even one?" Ilara asked, already sensing the answer. "Then we risk creating an even more devastating weapon," Amit replied grimly. "One that could potentially wipe out any oxygen-breathing species in the affected area." A heavy silence fell over the bunker. The potential for peace was tantalizingly close, but the risks were astronomical. As Earth's leaders contemplated this desperate gambit, ships from a dozen warring factions converged on the solar system, each determined to seize control of humanity's homeworld. The fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy hung in the balance. The oxygen wars had reached their crescendo, and the next move would determine whether the cosmos would fall into an age of darkness or emerge into a new era of peace. Ilara looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each person present. "We started this," she said softly. "Now we have to finish it, whatever it takes." A breath of peace. The command center of the ESS Horizon, once Earth's pride as its first faster-than-light vessel, now served as the nerve center for humanity's most ambitious and desperate plan. Captain Ilara Chen stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the holographic display, showing the intricate dance of warships surrounding Earth. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of trillions of lives resting on her shoulders. Dr. Amit Patel looked up from his console, dark circles under his eyes testament to sleepless nights of preparation. "The neutralizing agent is ready, Captain. We've transmitted the formula to our allies across the galaxy. They're standing by." Dr. Yuki Tanaka chimed in, her hologram flickering slightly due to the heavy communications traffic. "Earth side, we're as prepared as we can be. Atmospheric processors are primed to release the agent globally on your mark." Ilara nodded, then turned to Admiral Korda. "Admiral, are our defense forces in position?" Korda's weathered face was grim but determined. "As ready as we'll ever be, Captain. But make no mistake, the moment we initiate this plan, we'll be painting a target on our backs for every faction out there." "Understood," Ilara replied. She took a deep breath, knowing her next words would alter the course of galactic history. "Initiate Operation Calm Breeze." Across the solar system and beyond, carefully placed human agents and sympathetic aliens sprang into action. On countless worlds, in space stations, and aboard starships, the neutralizing agent was surreptitiously introduced into oxygen supplies and atmospheric systems. For several tense hours, nothing seemed to change. The battles raging across the galaxy continued unabated. Then, slowly but surely, reports began to trickle in. "Captain," Lieutenant O'Connor called out, her voice filled with disbelief, "I'm receiving transmissions from the Thraxian fleet. They're standing down." Similar reports flooded in from all corners of known space. As the neutralizing agent took effect, the very substance that had driven the galaxy to war lost its potency as a weapon and a coveted resource. However, not everyone reacted positively to this turn of events. A coalition of hardliners from various species, unwilling to let go of the power oxygen had granted them, turned their combined fury towards Earth. "Multiple hostile fleets on approach," Admiral Korda announced, his voice tense. "They've broken through our outer defenses." Ilara steeled herself. They had anticipated this possibility, But the reality of facing down an armada of advanced alien warships was still daunting. "Activate the planetary shield," she ordered. As the hostile fleet closed in, the sky above Earth shimmered and solidified. The experimental technology, reverse-engineered from various alien designs and powered by Earth's vast oxygen resources, enveloped the planet in a protective cocoon. The ensuing battle was brief but fierce. The shield held against weaponry that could have cracked the planet like an egg, while Earth's defenders fought with the desperation of those protecting their homeworld. In the midst of the chaos, an unexpected ally emerged. Salith, the Arcturian representative who had once viewed humans with suspicion, arrived at the head of a peacekeeping force assembled from those species who recognized the wisdom in ending the conflict. With the combined efforts of Earth's defenders and the peacekeepers, the attack was repelled. As the dust settled, Ilara found herself once again standing before the Galactic Concord, this time in an emergency session hastily convened on neutral ground. "You took an incredible risk," Salith said, their ethereal voice echoing through the chamber. "One that could have doomed oxygen-breathing species across the galaxy." Ilara nodded solemnly. "We did. Because the alternative was watching the galaxy tear itself apart over a substance we took for granted." A Thraxian representative clicked their mandibles thoughtfully. "And in doing so, you have rendered one of the most potent discoveries in recent history obsolete." "Not obsolete," Dr. Patel interjected, stepping forward. "Merely equalized. The neutralizing agent doesn't destroy oxygen or negate its beneficial properties. It simply makes it safe for all to use, in measured amounts." Dr. Tanaka joined him. "We stand ready to share this technology freely with all species. No more hoarding, no more weaponization. Oxygen can still revolutionize medicine, energy production, and countless other fields, but now it can do so without the threat of war." The council chamber buzzed with discussion. It was clear that the galaxy had been irrevocably changed. But perhaps for the first time since the oxygen discovery, there was hope for that change to be positive. In the months that followed, a new galactic order began to take shape. Earth, once quarantined and then coveted for its dangerous atmosphere, became a hub of scientific cooperation. The great atmospheric processing plants were repurposed, now producing carefully neutralized oxygen for distribution throughout the galaxy. The oxygen wars, while devastating, had forced species that had long kept each other at arm's length to work together. New alliances were forged, not out of fear or greed, but out of a shared recognition of how close they had come to mutual annihilation. 1 year after Operation Calm Breeze, Captain Ilara Chen found herself once again on the bridge of a starship. But this time, instead of facing down hostile fleets, she was leading a joint human-alien expedition into uncharted space. As the ship prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, Ilara looked around at her diverse crew. Humans working alongside Thraxians, Arcturians, and a dozen other species. Each brought their own unique perspective and abilities, strengthened by the balanced use of oxygen-based technologies. "Captain," her XO, a young Malorian, reported, "all systems are go for the jump." "Where to?" Ilara smiled, feeling a sense of anticipation she hadn't experienced since those first days of first contact. "Let's see what's out there," she said. "Together." As the ship disappeared into the swirling vortex of hyperspace, Ilara couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them to this point. Humanity had entered the galactic stage in a cloud of fear and misunderstanding, nearly torn it apart with an accidental discovery, and then found a way to bring peace through the very substance that had caused so much strife. The galaxy had dismissed humans as weak, until they scanned Earth's atmosphere. Now that same atmosphere had become the breath of peace, propelling all species towards a future of unity and exploration. As new stars streaked past the view screen, Ilara felt a profound sense of hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that the combined ingenuity and resilience of all sentient beings would find a way to meet them, one breath at a time.